All right, guys, what's going on? Matt DeBary, dogpost.com, here with another recruiting update for you guys. Obviously, Georgia will play LSU in the SEC Championship on Saturday, but recruiting never stops, and some big recruiting news actually happened Tuesday night when the Bulldogs lost a commitment from three-star wide receiver Wren. Now, if you're on Dog Post, this is not surprising news. This is kind of something that I alluded to a couple weeks ago. I was wondering if Wren would stay in this class. He hasn't been to Athens in a good bit. Each time I reach out to him, haven't really got a response there. So this was kind of something that I saw coming. I did not know that it would happen on Tuesday night, but nonetheless, this is not a big surprise, especially if you're a Dog Post member. So where do the Bulldogs go from here? They've got two wide receiver commitments right now, and they are kind of bigger possession guys. You've got Marcus Rosemy, one of the top wide receivers in the country out of Florida. He's still on the commitment list, and he is a firm commitment right now. And you also have Justin Robinson, a big 6'4", long, athletic wide receiver from Eagles Landing Christian down in McDonough. So they've got two possession, four-star receiver commitments. So they're going to go for speed now. They've got two in the on the commit list, and they need two more to fill this class. Right now, all eyes are on Arian Smith, one of the fastest guys in the country. He's a track star down in Lakeland, Florida. Right now, I think that Georgia leads. That's what I'm hearing from people down in Florida. They say it's an Alabama-Georgia battle for the top two. Florida's still in the mix, but people that I know close to the Florida program do not feel good about their chances with Smith. They think it's a Georgia-Alabama battle, and most people I feel, they feel that Georgia is the leader right now. Again, top 100 player in the country, one of the fastest, most explosive players in the entire country, and I think that Georgia leads for him right now. Another guy to keep an eye on, Jermaine Burton. You've probably heard his name before. We've been covering him for 4 or 5 years now. We saw him as a freshman at Hateville Charter. He played at IMG Academy, went back up to Marietta, then flew out and played at Calabasas in California. Anyway, another fast receiver, another top 100 guy in the country, and one of the top receivers overall in the country. He's currently committed to LSU. Sources tell me that Georgia's been pushing for a flip for a while now. He was in Athens late last month. And I think Georgia is really going to do their best and try to flip him. Again, he's got Georgia ties. He's originally from Georgia, has been to Georgia plenty of times. I remember him coming with Nolan Smith for G-Day 2 years ago. So he's a big-time target. The Georgia staff knows all about him. They know what he can do on the football field. So again, he is a guy to watch there. Another speedy slot type, Marcus Fleming. Forgot where in Florida he plays. I think it's Northwestern High School down in Miami. Georgia offered him recently, took his official visit to Georgia last month. So he's another guy in the mix who is very similar to Wren. He's kind of a smaller guy, a 5'10", 160. Put him in the slot due to his size and quickness. So another guy to know there. So again, at wide receiver, you got two committed, Marcus Rosemy, Justin Robinson, with room for two more. I think those two right now are going to be Arian Smith, who again, sources tell me they think Georgia leads for right now, and then Jermaine Burton, who the staff is trying to flip from LSU. So as it relates to wide receiver commitments, I think that's where things stand right now. They did lose Wren last night. I don't think it's a big deal, and I think I'm expecting Georgia to sign another really talented class at wide receiver. So that's the news there. Also wanted to quickly break down the 2020 class and where it stands. We just talked about the receivers. At quarterback, Carson Beck is all in. I'm very high on this guy after seeing him, I believe it's in October, right before the Georgia-Florida game. I think he's the real deal. He was back in Athens again for the Texas A&M game. Recruits love this kid. He is bringing guys to Athens. He's got his recruiting hat on, and he is so excited to be a Georgia Bulldog, and I think he is the future at Georgia at the quarterback position. Now, Georgia does want to try to bring in another arm, whether it's another 2020 kid, a grad transfer from somewhere else, or someone from the transfer portal. Right now, it does look like Jake Fromm is probably going to stay for his senior season. He hasn't said that publicly yet. But either way, I do think Georgia wants to bring in another arm. They hosted C.J. Stroud, a four-star quarterback, for an official visit for the Texas A&M game. I reached out to sources there, and right now I do not expect Stroud to sign with Georgia. I think that's more of a Michigan-Ohio State battle there. Still a guy to keep an eye on because he did give Georgia an official visit, but I do not expect him to sign with Georgia. So not exactly sure where they go from here. Maybe I'll know a little bit more next week, but I do think Georgia plans to bring in another arm some way, somehow in this 2020 class. Now to running back. Originally, I thought the plan was to take 2 running backs in this class. I think that's probably the smart thing to do since they just took one last year in Kenny McIntosh. But a lot of sources the past few weeks have been telling me that Georgia has a good chance of just taking one, and that would be 5-star Kendall Milton from Fresno, California. As he's really good. He's really good. He's going to play a lot next year. But I think if Zach Evans has a change of heart right now, I think he is leaning towards LSU, and I think he will commit to LSU. And I think it's the Under Armour All-American game or All-American, whichever All-American game he's playing in early January. I think that's when he's going to commit to LSU. But if he did have a change of heart and decide he wants to be a Bulldog, I think the staff would make room for him, as well as Tank Bigsby. I think he is firmly committed to Auburn at this time. Again, if you're on Dog Post, you know how I feel about Tank. I've been covering him for 4 years now. I think he's one of the best backs in the country by far. And I think he's an absolute steal for Auburn. But if he decided last minute that he wants to flip to Georgia, I think the staff would make room for him. Right now, I do think it's possible they just take one running back, but I don't even think the Georgia staff knows exactly yet. They're always talking about we're taking the best players regardless of position, blah, blah, blah. So there is a chance to just take one in Kendall Milton, especially with a lot of these guys already committed elsewhere. But if Zach Evans or Tank Bigsby wanted to jump on board, I do think the staff would do whatever it takes to make that happen. Moving on to tight end, Darnell Washington is still the big target. I still feel that Georgia leads here. Nick Saban was out there in Las Vegas yesterday to check in with Darnell, and I was told that Jeremy Pruitt and Brian Niedermeyer, I think that's how you pronounce it, the tight ends coach at Tennessee, they made an in-home visit to see Darnell Washington. I believe that was on Monday. Georgia is not expected to go out to Las Vegas to see him for an in-home visit this week due to SEC championship planning and all that stuff this week, but I would expect Todd Hartley to go out to Las Vegas and see Darnell Washington next week. But yeah, he's another guy to know. Sources tell me that it's Georgia and Alabama out in front for the 5-star tight end out of Las Vegas, with Tennessee still in the mix. He's got his official visit to Tennessee coming up this weekend, so you can't 100% rule out the Vols just yet. But I do think that Georgia still sits in the best spot to land him at this time. He's very close with Carson Beck. He's been to Athens a ton this year. I think he was there possibly in May. I definitely think he was there in July. He was there for the Notre Dame game, and he was back again for the Texas A&M game, which said a lot to me. So as far as I know and everything I'm told, I do think Georgia leads for Darnell Washington, and I think they'll sign him in December. But Alabama's still in the mix. And obviously Tennessee still has that official visit left, and they went for an in-home visit with him on Monday. So they're still somewhat in the mix as well. Like I've been reporting for a long time now, Georgia wants to take 2 tight ends in this class. Todd Hartley did go up on Sunday to Canada to see 4-star tight end target Theo Johnson. He was a guy who wanted to commit in late November. It was the 18th or 19th of November. He came out publicly and said that was going to be the time when he was going to commit. And that was not good news for Georgia. I believe he was going to commit to Penn State on that day. He decided to delay his decision, and I didn't know if that was because Georgia had gotten back into the mix and got him to delay his decision. I didn't know what the reason was, but again, sources tell me that it was Georgia who is still in the mix here and kind of got him to delay that decision, and that was really big news. Actually, multiple people told me that was really, really good news for Georgia, that he has decided to wait. Obviously, Todd Hartley went to go see him for an in-home visit on Sunday. They're doing everything they can to land him. Right now, I think Penn State is still probably the team to beat, but I think Georgia's probably in that second spot right now. I think it goes Penn State, Georgia, Michigan. Now, I haven't heard that from Theo himself, but just speaking with other sources and kind of putting the puzzle together, I do think Georgia is running a very close second to Penn State right now. So I do think they lead for Darnell Washington, and then a close second for Theo Johnson. After that, I think they might have to go to their plan B and plan C options there. So we've talked about receiver, we've talked about quarterback, talked about running back, and now tight ends. Offensive line is full. Micah Morris, 2021 offensive lineman out of Camden County, still plans to make his commitment later this month. I think that's a Georgia-Auburn battle there. He's been to Georgia a ton this year, but he was at Auburn for the Iron Bowl, and now it's been, that's been his latest visit. So I do think the Tigers are right there with Georgia, and make sure you're on Dawg Post for the latest. I'm going to be trying to get some nuggets there over the next few weeks as he plans to announce, I think in the middle of December. Can't remember the exact date off the top of my head. Go to Dawg Post. It's all there. So let's talk about the defense a little bit. Zykevious Walker chose Auburn last week. A little bit of a surprise. I thought that he would commit to Georgia after speaking with him and being fresh off his official visit to Georgia for the Texas A&M game. So another spot opens up there. A guy to keep an eye on, though, is Gervin Dexter, a high 4-star defensive tackle prospect out of Florida, currently committed to Florida. I was told that the Gators have an in-home visit with Gervin on Wednesday, which is today. I'm recording this on Wednesday morning. And then Georgia plans to see him on Friday, which was really interesting. It's the day before the SEC Championship. I wasn't expecting them to go see anyone on Friday, but I was told that a member of the Georgia staff, I'm guessing defensive line coach Trey Scott, plans to have an in-home visit with Gervin Dexter on Friday to try to get him to have an official visit that second weekend of December. The following weekend in December. He has his official visit to Florida this weekend, and he says his recruitment is shut down. It's 100% over. He's committed to Florida. But if he does take an official visit to Georgia the following weekend, you've got to give Georgia a legitimate chance. So he says he's firmly committed to Florida. Got an in-home visit with the Gators today on Wednesday. Has his official visit to Florida this weekend. But he does expect Georgia to be at his house for an in-home visit on Friday in a couple days. So we'll see how things go there. I do think Georgia's pushing for a flip. He's probably Florida's best commitment at this time. So we'll see how that goes. So definitely keep an eye on Gervin Dexter there. Jordan Burch, 5-star defensive end. Hearing more LSU than anything there. He doesn't talk to the media. His circle doesn't really talk to the media. So that has been kind of tough to cover. South Carolina, Clemson, Georgia, I guess they're still all in the mix. But LSU is the team that I've heard a little bit more about. I think he was in Baton Rouge for his official visit to LSU when they played Auburn last month. I believe it was last month. But he also saw LSU play against Alabama, I believe. So he's taken his visits. He's been to Georgia multiple times. I think the last time he was in Athens was for the South Carolina game. Not exactly the game you want the 5-star top 10 prospect to be at. But as far as I know, Georgia is still in the mix. I don't think they lead for him right now, but he's still a guy to keep an eye on. At linebacker, Micah Sherman is committed 5 stars at a St. John's College Prep up in Maryland or Washington, D.C. area. And right now, I think he's the only linebacker that Georgia's going to take in this class. And it was Sewell committed to Oregon recently over Georgia. So I think Georgia is okay with just taking one linebacker in Micah Sherman. At defensive back, got Jalen Kimber on board. Keely Ringo, 5-star cornerback, top 10 prospect, one of the best cornerback prospects I've ever covered. I was able to see him in September. And after speaking with him then in person, I thought Georgia leads, and I still think Georgia leads today. So again, Georgia-Oregon battle in my eyes, that's what I'm being told. And I think Georgia has the slight lead right now. He's not going to say much the rest of the way as far as talking about his recruitment. Still has his official visit to Georgia to happen this month. And again, I think Georgia leads right now, and I think they will sign him in December or later this month. So big target there. But I do think they're going to take one more as well. They've got Jalen Kimber. I think they lead for Keely Ringo, and I think there's a spot open for one more guy. I think it'll either be Dante Manning, 4-star safety, or 4-star Eric Reed, who just decommitted from Ole Miss. And I believe Eric Reed plans to take his official visit to Georgia in a couple weekends as well. So again, a lot going on in terms of recruiting, and a lot's going to change too. Everything, no signing day is without drama. and I'm sure there will be plenty of drama again in signing day in just a couple weeks. So it's going to be a crazy couple weeks. Make sure you are on Dawg Post for all the latest. If you have any other questions, please head over there. We've got a great deal going on, $2 for 2 full months of coverage. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you're on for the SEC Championship game to get all the content coming from that. And of course, these few weeks leading up to signing day, there's going to be a ton of breaking news, lots of new developing stories, and you definitely want to make sure that you are on Dawg Post to make sure you get all the latest updates. Yeah, so again, if you have any questions, head on over to Dawg Post or just hit me up on Twitter. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see y'all next time.